What's up, y'all? Welcome into the warm-up show here on Grind City Media. I'm Lang Whitaker, alongside Jessica Benson, John Roser, and Michael Wallace will be joining us from Oklahoma City as we get you ready for today's Game 1 of the playoffs matchup between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder enter this game 68-14. The Grizzlies are 48-34. Let's talk a little bit about these two teams and how we got here. The Grizzlies coming off a big win against Dallas, 120-106, dominant win. All five starters had double figures. Ja and Dez, 22 apiece. Jaren, 24. Zack Edy, 15 and 11. The Thunder haven't played in a week. They won 14 out of 16 to end the season. They had one of the best regular seasons in NBA history. They had the largest average margin of victory in NBA history, and they are led by MVP frontrunner Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. These teams played 3 times in the regular season. Memphis swept the season series. The Thunder swept the season series. I was wishful talking there. By an average of 18.8 points. Ja missed 2 of the 3 games. And they only played one of these games with the Grizzlies' entire big 3 available of Ja, Dez, and Jaren. So, Jessica Benson, John Roser, welcome in. This Grizzlies team, as currently constructed, is a little bit different than the one we saw during the regular season. Namely, there's no Jalen Wells, there's no Brandon Clark. But also, I think guys are playing different roles and different sort of impact on the game, specifically Zack Edy. Jess, how are you feeling going into this game? Do you feel like we got a shot tonight?
It's Easter. It's the afternoon. Anything can happen. It's an uphill climb. There's no secret here. The Grizzlies are not favored to win this series. They are not favored to win this game. They're not favored to be competitive in this game. It's a 13.5-point line. And I think if you're the Grizzlies, you have to harbor some of the momentum that you've gained in, I'll say, the last 2 play-in games. The game against the Warriors, you fall short, but you played them really tough. You were right there in it at the end. And then you come out and you set that tone so early against the Dallas Mavericks. That's one thing looking back on that game here at FedEx Forum the other night. They got the crowd into it so early. They were playing with pace, getting out in transition, getting those turnovers. If you can do something similar in OKC that almost takes the crowd out of it early on, and it's the playoffs, you're not going to take it all the way out, but just allow yourself to dictate what this game is going to look like. Don't be playing catch up from the jump.
John, how are you feeling going into today?
You're playing the number 1 seed. You're playing the only team who had a double-digit point differential in the regular season, who, as you mentioned, beat us by pretty much 18, 19 points per game. It is. It's like Jessica said, it's an uphill climb. I do think if you're looking for some positives coming into this, I think, we saw the Grizzlies down the stretch in that home game against Minnesota where the first half was great, and then Minnesota came out and punched them in the second half, and then the Grizzlies, they never responded. And then the Denver game happened, and the Grizzlies are up the entire game, and then the Nuggets finally punched them in the fourth quarter, and the Grizzlies fell down. Yeah. Well, what happened the other night, the Grizzlies get off to that great start, and then the third quarter came out, and it got dicey there, and the Mavericks were able to take the Grizzlies' 25-point lead all the way down to 7. Yeah. They punched the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies came right back, and they actually punched back this time and were able to then get out and extend back into a big double-digit lead. So the Thunder are going to punch today on this Easter Sunday. They have been amazing in first quarters. They've been amazing virtually in every quarter because they are awesome. So how do the Grizzlies respond? I think if you're going to catch them in OKC tonight, or this afternoon, is probably the one to do it. They've had a long period of time to rest. The Grizzlies are fresh, and they've been playing this week.
They were at a birthday party yesterday.
At a birthday party.
They prepped for this matchup by going to dress up like cowboys at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's son's party. And yes, it was wholesome and adorable, but not today. No, I do think you bring up a good point, Roser, too, in you have to play all 48, which I know is such a thing to say, but this Thunder team is better than any team, not just in the NBA this season, but that we've seen in recent memory of when they go down double digits, they tend to come back and win. They're 18-10 when trailing by at least 10 in games this season. So it's not just a matter of don't build a hole, don't get comfortable with a lead. It really has to be a full effort. Don't take any plays off.
Didn't it feel like at the game the other night when we beat the Mavericks, if that felt like a little bit different Grizzlies team than we've seen since January?
I think because they fought back. Like they fought back.
To me, it felt fun. Like the Grizzlies made basketball fun again.
It was the most fun home game since January 30th against the Houston Rockets. It was the most fun home game.
Dunks, and Ja had the dunks. Santi had that weird 360. There was playing at tempo, playing at speed. And I know the Thunder can play fast too, but Dallas, that's something they struggle at. And the Grizzlies really, talk about punching the opponent. The Grizzlies came out and took that 22-10 lead to start that game. Ja was on fire from the start. And I thought the Grizzlies kind of made basketball fun again. And I don't know if you can do that against the Thunder. You just got to win one in OKC. And I kind of agree with you. I feel like if it's going to happen, this might be the best chance for it to happen. Yeah, the Grizzlies.
No, Oklahoma City, one of the things they do that the Grizzlies did the other night, I believe it was 16 points off turnovers the Grizzlies had in the first half. They were turning Dallas over, which allowed the Grizzlies to get out and get easy buckets. And when you turn Dallas over, that means Dallas is not able to then set up their defense on the other side. Oklahoma City is they are the best team in the league at forcing turnovers. They are by far the number one defense in the league. They have the third best offensive efficiency in the league, but they will turn you over and they pressure the ball, and it starts with Lou Dort. Flip the script on them a little bit. But, Jessica, like you said, the cliche thing is to say you have to play a full 48, but it is true. The last time these teams played, Ja Morant, yes, he did not play. Yeah. But the Grizzlies were in that game 3.5 quarters in Oklahoma City. They're in there. And then you let up for 5 minutes, and they beat you by 20.
You think that's a Grizzlies thing, or is that an NBA thing? Because we've seen this from the Grizzlies, not just this year, for years now. Oh, the second quarter or the third quarter Grizzlies. There's always some 8 to 12 minute stretch where the Grizzlies kind of lay an egg. Shout out Easter, and you feel like at some point it's going to happen, and you're like, all right, they're playing 48 minutes is really hard for most teams. Though I also notice every game we're at, teams, and it doesn't matter if it's us or the opponent, they have a 15, 20 point lead, and the other team goes on a run. And as a fan, I'm way more concerned than the coach appears to be. And I feel like coaches realize it's a game of runs, right? It happens.
Another cliche.
Yeah, it is. It's a game of runs. And I think for the Grizzlies, I just don't know. Putting together 48 minutes is hard to do. Putting in 48 minutes against the Thunder this season, it's kind of been impossible.
Let me add another layer. Putting on 48 minutes against the Thunder in the playoffs feels like it should be an even more difficult thing. Watching the opening games yesterday, you're reminded playoff basketball is different. It feels different. It looks like a different product at times. Watching the Clippers-Nuggets game, it felt like the Clippers threw out everything they had, and they were in control early. But what did they do? They turned it over 20 times. Yeah. And it's a turnover means more in the postseason. It just does.
Means more.
It just means more. As I pulled
like the SEC.
My Ole Miss coffee cup this morning. That was the cup I grabbed on the way out from my one and only Ole Miss football game. But no, it's true. You really have to value the basketball excessively this time of year because teams are able to take advantage of it to an even greater degree.
One of the guys we talked about who had a big game was Zack Edy. And we're talking about the way the Grizzlies have played differently the last couple weeks than they had all season. And Zack Edy has been a force for this Grizzlies team. Like we said, he has double-doubles in his last 5-6 games. I thought this moment in the postgame the other night was really good. This is Jaren Jackson was asked about Zack Edy and the impact he's made on the team. Avery Braxton, our buddy, posted this on Twitter. This is a nice little comment from Jaren about Zack Edy and what he's brought to the Grizzlies.
I'm happy for him. I've always told him that he's going to know what's best, as it progresses in his season and his career. And I think it's coming together for him in a lot of ways, and there's so many more avenues and things that I don't even know that he's going to know. He's going to figure out on his own about where his game can take him. But he's doing it right now for us, and he's a rookie, so we can't really ask anything more of him right now. We ask for a lot from him, every night. He knows that, we can probably get annoying, but we appreciate how he handles it with just grace, and he's really humble. If I was a two-time player of the year coming into any team, I'd have probably something to say, maybe. Who knows? But he don't know, so.
He doesn't have much to say, but he's letting his action on the court speak. And speaking of the court, let's go courtside to Oklahoma City, where our colleague Michael Wallace is posted up and ready for today's game. He'll be on the call on radio today on ESPN 92.9 with Eric Hasseltine. Mike, how is it in Oklahoma City? I saw you guys got greeted with another storm. Once you got there, you got some real thunder.
Yeah, man. As soon as we touched down and got to the hotel, Lang, you know, it was a thunderstorm hit, and it's been non-stop thunderstorms, tornado warnings, and everything all the way up until coming over. I walked over to the arena, which is right across the street from the hotel, and got drenched as well. So, you know, it's one of those things where the Grizzlies are preparing for a storm and a swarm, but how they respond is going to be important tonight right on this court here at the Paycom Center.
Well, we just listened to a clip of Jaren in the postgame the other night talking about Zack Edy and the impact he's had both on the court and off the court, and his attitude and the way he's kind of approached things. I think Zack Edy, specifically the last couple of weeks, has been tremendous for this team and really kind of changed the way they play. You talked to the guys after the game the other night, and you've talked to Zack a bunch of times too. Jaren talks about like sort of his humility and the way he's approached coming in and being part of this team. It feels a little bit like he's kind of trying to imprint himself on this team a little bit now the last few weeks.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, you talked about what Jaren Jackson Sr. said about him. Ja Morant has been preaching in the Zack Edy choir all season long. But Tuomas Isalo, the interim coach for the Grizzlies, basically described Zack Edy as an offensive and defensive juggernaut. That was his term, juggernaut, in terms of what he's been able to do on the court these past 10 games. They've measured and tracked his metrics since Isalo took over, and Zack Edy is performing as well as any center in the NBA in terms of plus minus. So that tells you kind of what the team is thinking about him right now. And Zack Edy said this is familiar. You know, his usage has gone up. He's averaging more than 30 minutes a game, and he feels like this is what he was brought here to do. This is what he's built for. This is going to be a tremendous test, though, because he's going up against a guy with his length in Chet Holmgren, who's right over here, and also, you know, Hartenstein, and is one of those guys who has the physicality and the girth. So he's not going to have any possessions off on either end of the court. He's going to have to be his full 7'4", 300 pounds impact in terms of what he needs to give the Grizzlies, just so they can neutralize Oklahoma City's front line.
Michael Wallace joining us courtside from Oklahoma City. Mike, in your latest Mike Check newsletter, or I guess it was the thing you wrote after the game the other night, you talked about the group chat between Dez, Jaren, and Ja. And the three of them sort of heading into that game, and kind of it felt like, reading your column, it felt like they kind of looked at the situation and were like, all right, it's time for us to kind of show some leadership and push this thing forward. What were they saying about that chat together, and how did that sort of affect the Grizzlies going into that game against Dallas?
You know, I think that the surprising thing isn't necessarily that they've had a group chat. Those guys have been communicating all season long, as Desmond Bane pointed out. I think what jumped out about this becoming a story going into that play-in finale was that Jaren Jackson Jr. took it upon himself to be the decisive voice among those three. You know, Jaren is more of the affable guy. He goes along, he gets along. You know, he doesn't rub anyone the wrong way or anything like that. You know, Desmond is more of the real serious-minded, business-minded, hey, let's go out here and get it done. And Ja Morant is the emotional leader, sort of. So Ja's temperament tends to rub off on everybody else in the locker room. But Jaren took it upon himself to say, guys, right now it's all on us. And despite everything that we've gone through this season, some things were self-inflicted, some things were beyond our control. But now it's right back down to us. How do we want this season to be defined? And Jaren was the main one coming into this year saying he needed to use what happened last year with all of the injuries and all of the misery to mean something coming into this season. The Grizzlies had one shot to get into the playoffs. Jaren stepped up, sent the text message to those guys, and it resonated with their performance. That was the first time that Jaren, Ja, and Dez each scored at least 20 points in the same postseason game for the first time in their 5 seasons together. So they answered the call. They have to do it again in this series.
And as we see Jaren warming up on the other side of the court, Mike, he has a smile on his face. Dez had a smile on his face. Ja Morant had a smile on his face for a lot of that game against the Dallas Mavericks. And we're 14 minutes into this thing, and we haven't even asked you about his ankle yet, but there's no time like the present because he wasn't even on the injury report. And we know he's fighting through this ankle sprain that he sustained against the Golden State Warriors in that first play-in game. It looked bad. He gutted it out. He came back. The question, there was a legitimate question of, maybe not for him, but for the rest of us sitting there against the Mavs the other night, would he be able to play? He came out a little late for warm-ups, but once he was there, he was with his daughter, he was with his whole team, and ultimately he gets the green light to go. And next thing we know, he's having a stick-back poster dunk on his own teammate, Santi Aldama. That will probably be a top 10 play of the postseason. He's hitting threes. He was able to battle through that ankle injury. And I'm curious what you've learned as we go into this game. Like I said, he was not on the injury report this time around, but that is something that we'll have to continue to monitor throughout the postseason.
Oh, you definitely have to monitor it. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for Ja Morant. He should be hitting the court pretty soon. Zack Edy is walking off the court right now for his pregame warm-ups. But the fact that Ja was not listed on the injury report at all coming into Oklahoma City was encouraging. We do know that his ankle didn't, just magically get better all of a sudden. Like, he's not 100%. This is a guy that still had to take 2 injections, over the clock, around the clock treatment, overnight icing and stimulation, and he's had to do that same thing here in Oklahoma City. So, he's going to be still playing on an ankle that is sprained. It's not ankle soreness, it's an ankle sprain, as the team has designated. So how much can he give in such a short turnaround? I don't count Ja out. I don't discount what he's able to do. Once the adrenaline is pumping with him, he takes his game to another level. He's always been able to do that. And he's coming off the energy of the Ja 3 release that's been going on as well, too, of his new sneaker shoe coming out. So he's excited about that, and I expect nothing less than Ja to be competitive in this game, given everything he has.
We just got a shout out Kyra, a slow-mo shot of Ja walking in, holding the Ja 3's shoebox, which, I assume that's what it is. Assuming he's going to break those out today.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out Kyra down in the truck, because we already have people in the chat talking about how good this show looks, and the production is A1. They got the 4K on you. I know Steph and Blevins are out there taking no time off, getting you looking good on TV too. We haven't talked also about lineups, and the Grizzlies have gone to this Scottie Pippen at the 2, I guess, lineup for the last couple of games. Worked really well against Golden State, worked really well against the Mavericks. Do you think we see Scottie in the starting lineup again today?
I think, Tuamasi Salo likes continuity. I don't think he changes that up at all. I think he likes the way the Grizzlies have started the last couple of games. They came out, like gangbusters against Dallas. They actually came out really, really well against Golden State in that first 3 minutes of that first quarter before Golden State went on their run. So I don't think he's going to go away from it. Would I be surprised if he does? No, I won't. But he seems to like what Scottie Pippen is giving him, and he also seems to love the combination that he's getting on both ends of the floor between Scottie and Zack Edy. Those are 2 guys that have never been in an environment like this. So let's not discount what's being asked of those guys at this stage to come out here and be starters or key rotation players. But I like Scottie's toughness. He's going to need it defensively. He's going to need that kind of ability when he's on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or any of the other perimeter players that Oklahoma City has. There's just not a lot of options. Vince Williams Jr., Luke Kennard, if they get opportunities to come into this game, they need to be able to perform on one end of the court or the other. One quick update, Gigi Jackson obviously is not here with the team. He had a personal reason for missing this game, and we'll see what that means for game 2. So that's one more guy that they won't have in that perimeter rotation to go. But Gigi hasn't played the last couple games anyway. So having said all that, Scottie Pippen will be essential to be a producer in this game.
All right, Mike, we're going to let you go for a minute. We'll come back to you in about 10 minutes, check back in courtside, see what's happening there. Appreciate you hanging with us for this next hour, and we'll be back to you in just a second. Thanks.
All right. Hey, good job, Lang. You pointed out all the contributions that go into what we're doing up here, and obviously Michael Blevins and Steph Allen, Kyra down in the production booth, and everyone else that's contributing to this show, man. It's been a bang-up job. Shout out to John Pugliese, too, for allowing us to use these resources to do it.
All right, we don't have to suck up to all these people. Like, it's okay to give them a shout-out, but we're not.
Shout out Jesus. It's Easter Sunday.
Shout out Easter.
He is risen.
Shout out Easter.
Shout out Devin dropping verses and advice in the chat.
Shout out rabbits. Bunnies.
Shout out eggs.
Yeah, chocolate. Jessica brought the chocolate eggs. Yeah,
shout out my chocolate cup in my
Shout out Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
The wise one.
Yeah.
Shout out
Seth Rollins. Seth freaking Rollins.
Knocked out
Burn It Down.
Shout out
and
Sinners.
Roman Reigns.
Not actual Sinners, just the movie. It was great. I saw it last night.
Saw
You
it,
should go see it.
It's a good movie for Easter.
Shout out Anthony Edwards for last night. I always love seeing the Lakers lose.
We need to have a section of the show just called shout-outs.
Yeah.
We just do shout-outs.
Yeah, I believe.
Shout out downtown Memphis. It was bumping last night with the Mary J concert.
Yeah. I believe Hot 107 used to they used to make segments out of that.
You could call in and do shout-outs.
Just shout-outs.
Maybe you guys should do it on the post game, on the double post.
Oh, yeah.
Shout-outs.
I mean, if we win, there's going to be a lot of shout-outs.
All right.
A lot of shout-outs.
Speak it into existence.
I'm going to shout out to
when
Kyra.
we win.
I'm going to shout out Kyra right now and tell her we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back in a couple of minutes and get you ready for this game. We're about 40 minutes from tip-off between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Oklahoma City Thunder. You're watching the warm-up show here on Grind City Media.
Tony was the defensive guy, but Zebo was the offensive guy. So you could speak to this. It's way worse when you're getting doubled,
Yeah,
right?
you got triple. I had went through that for when I was in Portland.
Me on the team, you got triple. You hear me, Rose? You can't talk about those. You got to talk about triple.
You got triple team.
This man was scoring on 3 dudes.
Swing, TA.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Would you mind standing in front so everybody could get a good glimpse of this? This can't be the look of the season. This is not the look of the season, Jessica. Like.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We are in March, which is Women's History Month.
True.
And we were talking about how do we kick off the show? What can we talk about? And we were like, why don't we talk about women's shoes? The Sabrina one. Okay.
Can't go wrong.
Right?
That's a good shoe.
And the two, you could argue, is even better. But the
You
one's
can't
fine.
have the two without the one.
Yeah,
though.
in the month of February, the Sabrina 2 was the second most worn shoe in the NBA in minutes played. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
They say main event Jey Uso was going to open the show. So they said they're starting to hear rumbles around the plaza level of Jey Uso. They're getting the crowd together to build up the main event Jey Uso entrance. Hey, 15,000 people together, yeeting in unison, 5-star. They are yeeting together.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the warm-up show here on Grind City Media. Lang Whitaker alongside Jessica Benson and John Roser. Michael Wallace joining us from Oklahoma City as we get you ready for today's game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And let's talk a little bit about this Thunder team. We've kind of focused on the Grizzlies starting here. The Thunder were the youngest number one seed in NBA history last season. Ended up losing in the second round to the Dallas Mavericks. But another number one seed again this season. They've been awesome all season long. I have not seen a team regularly be able to kind of test them. And I don't know, Houston kind of out-physicaled them a little bit, but is there a recipe, John Roser, for making this Thunder team work or putting them on the ropes?
Yeah, I think you have to look at the Lakers. I think the Lakers late in this season played them back-to-back games in Oklahoma City. In the first game, they went in there and they just absolutely destroyed them. Now, Luka seems to be the kryptonite for Oklahoma City. You saw it last year with Dallas.
That's how they lost in the playoffs.
Yeah, in the Western semis last year, Luka seems to be their main kryptonite. Sure, you can beat them. SGA is a foul merchant. He absolutely is, and he will drive, and then he just dips his shoulder into you and shoots it and expects that foul.
Oh, did you hear that?
Right.
SGA is already taking a free throw.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things, how are referees going to call this game? Are they going to give him that? Because I typically think the deeper the playoffs go, those kinds of calls you don't get. We have seen it over the years. Yeah. James Harden, amazing MVP level player in the regular season. You get to the playoffs, they're not giving you those little ticky-tack calls like they were in the regular season.
So maybe Jaren stays out of foul trouble.
Jaren staying out of foul trouble. They need all three of those guys to play 40 minutes. They're going to need and they're going to need some luck. They are. Let's be honest. If the roles were reversed and the Grizzlies were 68 and 14 and the other team was 48 and 34 and had played the way that the Grizzlies had down the stretch post All-Star break, we would be sitting here saying as the 68 and 14 team, there's no chance they're going to beat us. We would be saying that if the roles were reversed. However, there is a recipe because they did have 14 losses.
Yeah.
So I think SGA keeping him off the free throw line. I think if maybe they call some fouls on Lou Dort and don't let him be as aggressive.
So they don't call the fouls for Shea, but they call him on Lou Dort.
They call him on
I would
Lou
be
Dort.
fine with that too.
You need stuff to happen for you.
No player in the league gets more productivity from free throws than Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who generates plus 3.2 net points per game. Excuse me. Do you think that, Jessica, like, is it just as easy as stopping Shea? Because to me, that's sort of the argument I had against Shea as the MVP, was that that team is so deep. And it feels like if you stop Shea, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, some other guy's going to go off against you.
Well, that's one thing that's so curious about this Thunder team is even how, as we're sitting here in Memphis, and one of the positives of the play-in was seeing Tomas Isolo shrink the rotation. And you're feeling more confident based on that shrunken rotation. If you're the Thunder, they probably will still go 9 to 10 deep today because who do they get out? I mean, Alex Caruso is probably going to play his way to continue to be on the court. Isaiah Joe comes up with moments. Cason Wallace comes up with moments. So there is a depth to them that allows them to flex different lineups. Also, it's not as critical if someone gets in foul trouble because there really is this next man up kind of thing. But I do think with the free throws, one of the things that's very interesting is outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's not like this Thunder team is good at getting to the line. The Grizzlies actually rank second in free throws attempted per game and second in fouls drawn per game. The Thunder, 26th in free throw attempts per game and 23rd in fouls drawn. So that shows the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the most productive at the line, and yet the team has not followed suit. It's only one person you need to try to keep off the line, or just don't let others end up getting there too. You can't, if you're Jaren, if you're anyone, if you're Zach, you cannot pick up ticky-tacky fouls that are just kind of silly ones that we've seen at times.
The stat that you mentioned earlier, Thunder were 18-10 in games they trailed by 10 points this season. NBA.com kind of filled this out. It's the best double-digit record for any team in 29 seasons of play-by-play data. In fact, only 11 other teams, and none this season, had a winning record when trailing by double digits over those 29 years. We've also talked a lot about the Grizzlies trying to get out to a good start in some of these games. They certainly did against Dallas the other night. Jumped out to that 22-10 lead. Ja Morant had 7 points early on. There's Ja, and I believe he is wearing the Ja threes.
Okay, the fact that they turned the logo into the swoosh being the J for the A on these is elite.
I've got this in the rundown later. We'll go deeper into it in a little bit. I thought for now we should talk about the matchup. Michael Wallace is out there in Oklahoma City, and we'll bring him in now to fill us in. Mike, I don't know if you can tell, but it looks like Mike's not there. Mike's getting ready. Looks like Ja's wearing those shoes. The other stat that I was going to think about was the Grizzlies getting off to these first quarters, and we talked about how they got to these big first quarter leads. The Thunder are the best first quarter team in the NBA in the last 7 years, outscoring opponents by 17.1 points per 100 possessions in the opening 12 minutes. When they did fall in a hole, they were tough to keep down. The 18-10 record includes a 10-6 mark against good teams above 500. How important do you think it is for this Grizzlies team? We've seen them all season dig themselves a hole. Against Golden State, they went down 20 and tried to dig out of it. Can that happen today and the Grizzlies get a win?
No.
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 Hell no. Like, what? Not against that team.
I mean,
not against that crowd. The environment
it's
electric.
Do you have to go up 20, or do you have to go up like we did against Dallas?
Yes, you need to have a lead. You need to get a lead in this game.
Like a 20-point lead?
I mean, I don't know.
That'd be preferable. 25 would be great.
That'd be nice.
You know what, though? I was nervous the other night, even when we had that big lead in the second quarter, and I was like, man, we've seen teams blow 25-point leads. We've seen this Grizzlies team blow big leads, and I was like, oh, no. And then, I mean, I know that the team seemed pretty calm. Like you said, they managed that big comeback. But I think when they were trying to fight their way back into it, or trying to hold off Dallas in that second quarter when Dallas made that run, it was the end of the second quarter, beginning of the third. I think it was a 19-7 run or something like that Dallas went on. The Grizzlies looked a little nervous, and then they stayed calm. Michael Wallace back with us from Oklahoma City. Mike, we were talking about this Grizzlies team, and when Dallas made that run the other night, we've seen the Grizzlies try to hold them off, try to show their depth, try to show, I guess, a little bit of maturity in being able to hold them off. If the Grizzlies give up a big lead like we've seen them do in the first quarter and try to dig their way out of it, is there any way you can get a win against the Thunder trying to play from behind like that?
Oh, no, Absolutely not. I mean, this team annihilates you. Like, the Thunder do not give you opportunity to breathe. They suffocate you. Now, listen, they're not perfect. They do have some issues sometimes, but particularly in the moments when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not in the game. But that's very, very limited opportunities right there. I mean, we know pretty much as Ja Morant walks off the court right here from his warm-up, you see him going off. Hey, he didn't look like he was limping. He didn't look gimpy. Yeah, wearing the Ja threes, he looks ready. His game face is locked in from that standpoint. But no, you don't want to play around with Oklahoma City or mess around with those guys because, again, they are metrically the best team that we've ever seen in NBA history in terms of point differential. So don't give yourself a chance to have to come back against these guys. You expend too much energy on the road in a hostile environment with a noon tip. That's not a recipe for success right there. What the Grizzlies will have to do is play more like they played in the fourth and final game against these guys on March 27th, 28th, where they had a lead in the final 6 minutes of that game and did what they needed to do to give themselves a chance to be in it. They just let go of the rope in the last 4 minutes. But they got to play toe-to-toe with these guys from start to finish to give themselves a chance.
I know Coach Isalo is always holds things close to the vest. He's not going to tell us anything. We didn't see Luke Kennard in that Dallas game. And we saw Coach Isalo come up with some different rotations, didn't play Vince either. And the Grizzlies look great. Any sense of what way we go against the Thunder tonight? I mean, you're starting Scotty, so you're going to be smaller off the bat, but what do you think we do in terms of rotations, bench players? Is it going to be another 8-man rotation against this Thunder team that regularly plays 10 or 11 guys?
Well, he was asked that. Coach Tuomas Isalo was asked that in the pregame availability. You know, considering all the factors that go into such a quick turnaround, guys, keep in mind, it's only been 37 hours since the Grizzlies walked off the court against Dallas. Quick turnaround to play a game one at noon. That's a lot to ask of this team to have to do that. You know, but having said all of that, you might need more depth. You might need to give some guys some shorter spurts at the beginning of the game to be able to preserve them for the end. Does that bring Luke Kennard back into the rotation possibly? Yes. Does that bring a Vince Williams Jr. back in the rotation, particularly because you're going to need an extra defender? Yes. I do see that happening. He tended to go with Marvin Bagley early in the first rotation against Dallas, you know, from that standpoint, and that seemed to work. And you got to give him credit. And John Conchar, those two guys were the guys of choice against Dallas. There might be a different couple of mix coming off the bench tonight. We'll see. But all 4 of those guys are available, and they might all have to put some minutes in this game to give the Grizzlies a chance.
We talked about Zack Edy earlier with you, Mike, and the mentals of Zack Edy and the growth that we've seen, but wanted to hit specifically with this matchup and where you think Zack Edy could take advantage, along with Jaren Jackson Sr., fighting against these Thunder bigs, and if there's a neutralization factor there where it forces things to go out around the perimeter for this Thunder team, which is another challenge in its own right. But just how do you foresee Zack Edy, who now in his first elimination game comes out with a double-double? He's ready for the moment, it appears, but there is something different between a play-in game at home and the opportunity to go into this electric OKC environment later today.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the person who's been on this very court, who's been through playoff battles, who's seen guys, rookies have to come in and step up. The question was, how does Zack Edy as a rookie approach a playoff game like this, Brevin? And what would you do as a veteran point guard to help a young player coming into his first playoff opportunity?
Well, the good thing is he's already played almost 2 playoff games already. We're having to play against the Golden State Warriors, the level that was in that arena, and then having a win-or-go-home situation. We're having to go out and play against the Dallas Mavericks. And in those games, he was able to excel. So I don't think that the moment will be too big for him. I think the biggest thing you worry about is the opponent. That is going to be a big thing for him because the way that Hartenstein's able to screen, finish inside, and the way that he attacks the offensive glass, I think will be more of a worry. And as a point guard, the biggest thing I want to let him know is we just need you to still be you. And in being you, that's good enough. But maybe even try to get him an easy one early just to let him settle in.
There you go. Hey, he's dropping bars. BK is dropping bars. It's not the opponent, it's the moment. It's the moment. You know what I'm saying? Good job, baby. All right, man. Hey, it's 2 dark-skinned guys right here. We got to get some flash.
This is definitely a first also. So we just want to take this moment, man, and enjoy it. But yeah, get some lights out here.
Get some lights out here, Brevin. Get some lights out here, Brevin.
You guys are working in the dark so you can shine in the light.
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's another Jesus reference right there. Happy Easter.
Hey, speaking of people who are risen, Marvin Bagley joined the rotation the other day. and looked great. And a couple of people in the chat have asked about Marvin Bagley. What do you think about Marvin's chance to play, and what did he bring, and like how did he get back into the rotation and get that chance? Because he took advantage of it against Dallas the other night.
Man, one thing that Tuomas Isalo said was that he's going to prioritize rebounding, and he needs plus rebounders to help out on the glass when you talk about Jaren Jackson Jr. being more perimeter-based at times, allowing Jaren Jackson to roam a little bit offensively. Marvin Bagley is a plus rebounder. You know, you talk about John Conchar, he's a plus rebounder. You know, Zack Edy obviously is a plus rebounder. What Bagley has done, though, and this is the amazing thing about Marvin Bagley, is that he's gotten himself in such great shape over the course of these last 2 months or 3 months since he's been acquired, that he's been ready for this moment. You know what? A little nugget here. This guy was the highest drafted player in the NBA playoffs from his draft class right now. Wow. He was in that same class with Jaren Jackson Jr. He was in that same class with Luka Doncic. He was in that same draft class with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was in that same draft class with Michael Porter Jr. He went number 2 overall. And I'm giving away one of my next newsletter. Yeah, Trae Young. Trae Young's not in the playoffs though right now, Lane. Come on, man. You're ruining my rep right here. I'm flowing. Step aside. But the bottom line is that this guy feels like this is an opportunity for him in whatever minutes he gets to show and remind people that he's still in this league. And if he gets some moments tonight as well, or today as well, he's going to continue that.
Is it like a disco theme in there? Like what's going on? Like it sounds like you're in a nightclub in Ibiza or something.
I know. Hey, this is the best Oklahoma City can do in terms of nightlife, man. This right here at the Paycom Center when it comes to that. Yeah, they need to turn the lights back on, man. I wasn't planning on doing this hit in the shadows right here, man. Come on, that's not built for guys like me, for tropical guys like us.
Like us, yes. All right. Hey, Mike, we'll let you take one more break, and then we're going to get back to you in about 5 minutes and do another check-in from OKC before we get this game going. And guys, here in the studio, Jessica Benson, John Rosa here with me. First of all, I've been to a lot of games in Oklahoma City through the years because before this I worked at NBA.com and I would travel around and go to these games and cover them. It's similar to Memphis in that it's the one big pro sports team in that town and people love that team. That being said, I don't know, that music didn't really inspire me to get going.
I couldn't believe
it
they
inspired me. I was insane.
Jessica was
definitely. Yeah. Did they get? Is David Guetta? How do you say it?
Ooh, David Guetta.
Yeah, is he there?
Was he the one who played at Riverbeat or whatever?
He was at the. He's got a.
Riverbeat hasn't happened yet. Steve Aoki's playing at Riverbeat.
Last year there was something.
Steve Aoki is.
You were all excited.
It was Odessa. It was Odessa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the Chainsmokers
Odessa's not walking in this building in OKC this afternoon.
I saw the Chainsmokers and Kygo one time at the Wynn at Excess, the nightclub at the Wynn Encore.
Chainsmokers are always at the Wynn or Excess.
So is Kygo.
And
David Guetta. The reason I thought of that is because you know where he was yesterday.
Where?
The Fountain Blue in Vegas. Yeah.
Do you just keep up with this stuff?
There's a Vegas account I follow that keeps up with all the stuff going on in Vegas.
Of course.
Did we see it? Were there T-shirts on the?
It looked like some white shirts.
Here's the thing. I know, the
T-shirts are so lame.
They are, but I believe in the people in OKC putting the T-shirts on.
Oh, they love it.
They will put the T-shirts on.
We have to put our T-shirts on.
Didn't do this purposefully, but as the Thunder were putting together such a tremendous season, and this book had been recommended to me time and time again. It's called Boomtown: The Fantastical Saga of Oklahoma City, and it's about the Thunder, but also like the civics and just the creation of Oklahoma City in its totality. But in the discussions around the Thunder, I mean, you talk about a city that just lives and dies for their team, similar to Memphis. Like, I thought we got such a perfect reminder of just how special postseason basketball is here in the city. Like the environment here at FedEx Forum was rocking the other night. And even watching the games yesterday, no matter where it is, the home court advantage is a very real thing come postseason, and it's something you have to fight against. And I don't think anything quite prepares you for it, even if you're listening to the unces in your warm-ups, until you're actually out there and those fans are on a different, just like playoff basketball takes it to a different level, the fans are on 100.
There's an intensity and an attention to detail. It's the same way in all sports, whether it's the NFL, it's every possession, every down. In Major League Baseball, I mean, this is Braves fan, y'all have had postseason. It's every pitch, in every inning, every at bat. And in basketball, it's the same way. It's every possession. You're kind of there's an intensity to it, and there's nothing quite like it.
By the way, in the chat, we were reminded by Darnell that there's a watch party today at Crosstown Concourse, right around the corner from here. if you guys want to go watch, I saw some of the people from the Grizz line at Starbucks earlier, and they had
Getting
loaded up the
caffeinated.
drums, getting ready to go out there and bang some drums. We're going to take another break. One last break. We're going to come back. We'll go back to Michael Wallace in Oklahoma City, and then we'll wrap this thing up and get you ready for today's game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 1 of the playoffs for 2025 starts today. We'll take one more break. You're watching the warm-up show here on Grind City Media.
You've coached a lot of different versions of the SEC, and obviously there's never been one deeper than this. What's it like been coaching in this?
The reason for the league being so good is the commitment to coaching, commitment to facilities, commitment to the NIL across the board. There is not anybody in our league that's not investing in all those things.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We touched on this earlier, the panel here, about what really has been the mainstay of the Grizzlies, and that's Jaren Jackson Sr. Trip has just been awesome.
He's posting guys up. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's physical, and he's scoring all type of ways.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We had big classic news from the Southern Heritage Classic last week when it was announced Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alcorn State will be the two Classic participants.
Being a part of the Classic is a big deal. It's the third year for UAPB and the first year for Alcorn. So I'm just glad we were able to get it done.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Yesterday was the talk of the town. It was a cow on the side of the road.
Do you live close to a movie theater? I'm just curious because maybe the cow was trying to go to the movies.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back to the warm-up show here on Grind City Media, getting you ready for today's game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Lang Whitaker here at the GCM studios alongside Jessica Benson and John Roser. And it looked like from that wide shot Kyra just gave us, it looked like the arena there in Oklahoma City is the disco session is over. And now the lights are back on, which is a good thing because Michael Wallace is standing there courtside. And now we should be able to see Mike. He worked in the dark. Now he's going to shine in the light for us. And we can go back to Michael Wallace and check in with him. And Mike, I was thinking a little bit last night watching the Denver Nuggets play about the way the Thunder team used to be constructed and the way they play now. And it's so different from the Westbrook Durant days. But you look like you have a special guest there with you. Why don't you tell us what's going on?
Absolutely. It's Jaren Jackson Sr. right here, proud father out here watching his son do magical things to get this team into the playoffs. And I wanted to ask Jaren, just, from a playoff situation, you won a ring. You know what it's like to be on one of these dominant playoff teams, but what is your message to Jaren in terms of being mentally prepared for this opportunity and getting out here and just being the leader that he's been?
Well, I mean, he seems to be prepared, He's been in the league a few years now. He's been through the bumps. He has some experience when the Grizzlies played a year or two ago in the playoffs. Those are areas that help with development, and I'm happy in that sense. So he's carved his own path. Yes, I share a little bit of those times when the Spurs beat up on the Knicks, in '99. No, I don't show this off too much, but he's prepared, and I'm just happy to see him thrive like this with the Grizzlies. And I reflect on the past.
There you go.
That's what I do. I just reflect on the past and enjoy the moment just like he does.
All right, they turned the lights out on us, but they can still hear us. You've always said that you don't necessarily lead with talking about basketball with Jaren. You talk about life and being prepared for life opportunities and life moments. What is this moment in his life right now going to teach him?
It's just how to continue to be a man, a grown man. nurturing his leadership qualities. He's learning how to be a leader. He's one of the leaders on the team. He has that presence about himself. And even when he has some bumps in the road, he seems to be being able to bounce back and be resilient. He's got to learn that through the experience, and that's what he has done. And that's been my message for him. So I kind of let him do his thing. Trust me, it's very difficult now for old dad to not say anything. You know, especially this year, it's been really tough. You know, with the coaching change and all. So, but even now, he's a leader. He's a very good player, of course, and he's always got a smile on his face. My message to him is to have fun playing hard.
That's it.
That's my message to him.
That's it. That's Jaren Jackson Sr. right there, NBA champion with the San Antonio Spurs. Happy Easter, man. Go be the great dad you continue to be, brother.
Go Grizz.
All right, there we go.
That was great, Mike. Thanks for.
They see us doing our thing out here, and they keep turning out the lights. They see us doing our thing. They see us shining, and they keep turning out the lights.
Yeah, we know they're hating, but we'll just get Blevins and Steph to attach that light to the camera next time, like we use here. So we can put you back in the light.
Yeah, we got lights coming.
Let me ask you real quick before we're about, 14 minutes from tip-off, before we get out of there. Clearly the Grizzlies have a Herculean task today, trying to knock off the 68-win Oklahoma City team, but it starts with one game. What do you think the expectations are for this Grizzlies team? Is it like, oh man, we've got to beat this team that nobody's been able to beat? Or is it like, you know what, we got a shot at this, play our game, let's stay focused?
I think that the mentality is why not us? Desmond Bain said it. We're back to where we want to be. Overlooked, the underdogs, everyone counting us out, everyone hating on us. Let's go do what we do as the Memphis Grizzlies. As Jaren Jackson Jr. leads the team back out on the court right now. They feel like all they have to do is get one here. Oklahoma City has all the pressure. They have to be the team that lives up to being one of the most accomplished teams in NBA history for the regular season. No one is expecting the Grizzlies to do anything other than get swept. If they win one of these games, this one is going to be the toughest one to win. But if they can win one of these games in Oklahoma City, then there's some doubt that creeps in. This team is playing with house money. They're playing with pride. They're playing with a defiance, and that's what they are. I want to see them play with expectations, but that's just not their personality. They love to be counted out. They love to face the haters, and this is what they're coming into this game feeling like they're comfortable dealing with, and we'll see if they can execute on the floor.
It also feels a little bit like the Grizzlies are sort of embracing that villain role. A couple years ago we saw them have that kind of put on them, and whether they liked it or not, that was the way they were kind of cast. But nowadays, you kind of have to embrace that to have a shot today or on Tuesday against this Thunder team.
Well, they're not the boogeymen. They're not the boogeymen. Like, they're not villains. They're not cheap shot artists. They're not dirty players. They're just a team that hasn't lived up to what their expectations have been with Ja, Desmond, and Jaren being healthy. They have a chance to flip the script. They have a chance to hit the reset button and do it right now. All three of those guys are on the floor today. All three of them are healthy. This is what you built this team to be. You built this team to give yourself a shot in this moment with Ja, Jaren, and Dez, all $200 million plus players, all guys that are going to eat up a lot of money on the salary cap. This is what you're here for. And you have to use this series as a measuring stick to show you how much more you need going into next year if you're going to keep this core intact. So it's not about being villains. It's about measuring yourself against the elite team in this league and seeing how far you are and how close you are to where they are right now.
And last thing, Mike, before we let you go and get ready to be on the call with Eric Hasseltine today on ESPN 92.9, if there's any team with expectations on their shoulders that's going to have to deal with that, it's got to be the Thunder, right? A number one seed a year ago, lost in the second round, and then come back in as a number one seed again, have had a dominant regular season. And if you're the Grizzlies, just play free.
Yeah, no, play smart. I mean, like you still have to play to a standard. Sure. You still got to avoid turnovers. You still got to avoid giving them opportunities to blow you out of this building. You still have some pride. You're not a junior varsity team coming in here. This isn't the nasty nine or the 8-man rotation. All of those things. You have Ja. You have Jaren. You have Dez. You're not holding yourself to second-tier standards to anybody, and that's got to be the mentality. But you're absolutely right. The Thunder is the team that has to show that, hey, we're not just a regular season, magical team. We have to be able to run straight through the postseason and get to the finals. It is championship or bust for Oklahoma City, and that's what they're playing to right now. And they have a chance to do that and show that starting out with Game 1 in a few moments here.
And the team that has a chance to spoil that is the Memphis Grizzlies. So hopefully we get to see that either today or on Tuesday. Michael Wallace joining us live from Oklahoma City. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Go get ready with Hasseltine to be on that call today on ESPN 92.9.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Mike. All right, we got about 10 minutes now to get you final preparations for this game today between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies, Game 1 of the 2025 playoffs for this Grizzlies team. We always end this show by going around the NBA. So like we always do at this time, let's go through some of the bigger stories that are happening around the NBA. I wanted to start with the Dallas Mavericks because we saw them get beat here 120-106 on Tuesday night or Friday night against the Grizzlies. And Anthony Davis ended up with 40 points, 9 rebounds. Dallas lost. We've heard a lot about trading Luka, what a disaster it is, all that. Did you see any part of the vision of what Nico Harrison's going for with the Mavericks?
Yes, I mean, I actually do. I see it. Like, I get it. Kyrie being hurt kills a lot of it because they have nobody that can handle the ball. That's the one thing you see is like they don't have a point guard. Brandon Williams has ended up having to play point guard for the Brandon Williams. I saw Brandon Williams in the G League this year, like multiple times.
Playing
like,
small forward.
Yeah, right. Like he's out there having to be the point guard. That's not what you want at this point in the season. No, and I think they're going to try to figure it out, but I think they're going to try to be a big player for Kevin Durant too, and they're going to do the Kyrie, Durant, Anthony Davis. What that wins you, I don't know, but I see the vision. He always says defense wins championship. He wants the team to be big and really long and difficult to score on.
He said it 100 times. Yeah. Defense wins championships, and then we got to see the side eye from him right here at FedEx Forum.
That's an all-timer.
I mean, the thing is we've said it once, we'll say it again. We'll probably say it 100 more times over the course of his career if he goes that long. Like when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's incredible. He's the top 10 player in the league, and putting together the 40-point performance, like he almost willed them single-handedly back into that game.
It was kind of single-handed.
Yes, but it is single-handed. And I get it, like the size, I do see the vision. I see the skyline, I get it. And with him and Gafford and Lively all together, but they need a point guard. And right now your point guard is Kyrie Irving. And what's Kyrie going to be coming off an ACL injury? I'm not ready to count Kyrie out. He was playing tremendous basketball this year, but it just creates a bit of a pickle.
It's fine. Like, okay, we get it. Like you defense wins championships. That's how you believe in that. It's totally fine. But like, dude, you have to get more.
Yeah.
You have to get more than what you got. Yeah. Like you still have to get more. Anthony Davis, Max Christie. Okay, and what else? You got to give me more.
Yeah.
PJ Washington isn't
PJ
that
Washington
offensive option for you.
Yeah, it's not great. On the flip side of that trade, we saw the Lakers lose last night in Game 1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Did you guys see Luka's phone? They showed Luka when he got knowledge
and he threw it.
The trade. He apparently threw his phone at the wall and shattered it. And I was just curious, have you guys ever thrown a phone? Have you guys ever shattered a phone? What
I've not. My significant other has.
At what? The Warriors losing?
No, but it could have easily been one of those moments. No, I've never thrown a phone. I've accidentally dropped my phone one too many times.
I've done that too.
But I understand the frustration.
I bet Roser's thrown a phone.
Never thrown a phone.
Never thrown a phone?
Never thrown a phone. No. Nope. Dropped it. Done like you. Dropped it accidentally, but I've never thrown the phone. I did put a fist through a wall when I was.
I knew that was coming.
Drunk college. Drunk in college.
Happens to the best of us.
Drunk you? Is that
it's over a video game, like so. If that tells you anything, yeah.
Do you remember which game it was?
NBA Live. Me and we used to play 12-minute quarters, fatigue on NBA Live. So you had to manage your roster. You had to manage your roster. You had to play your bench. It wasn't just like So. Playing with the teams that actually had a bench actually really helped.
Last night we saw, if you weren't watching WrestleMania or the NBA playoffs, we saw Ja Morant debuted the Ja 3 and a couple of posts on Instagram. And then the photos went out across the universe. Everybody, assume we all saw this last night. Jessica Benson, biggest takeaway from this shoe?
It's the logo. It's so cool. And like seeing it on his foot right now as he was in warm-ups, you can tell. Like it's not secret. The swoosh is a J. Yeah. Anybody who is out there who is trying to run away from Ja Morant being not just one of the biggest faces in basketball, but one of the biggest faces in sports, Nike let him use the swoosh as the J with the A. That is a dope logo. I love the color. It's bright. It shines. Like, even my mother this morning was like, can I get a pair of those? I'm like, I don't think you're going to get those exact ones. But it's great. And it's just the continuation of the partnership between Ja and Nike. Every level, it feels as if from the Ja 1 to the Ja 2, now to the Ja 3, it's leveled up a bit. And I cannot wait to watch him play.
I know John Roser has the original scratch Ja 1s.
Yeah.
And you were talking the other day about getting the Ja 2 scratch that are supposedly coming out in a couple of weeks, the teal color
May
ones.
1st is the release date on those.
A couple of weeks. And you said you're going to get a pair of those. Does the Ja 3 release change your calculus on this? Are you going to wait and get the Ja 3s now?
No, I can't wear those.
Why not?
I can't pull off those shoes.
The colors?
You can't do the texture?
I think they're cool. I like that they're different. I do feel like Nike for so many of the last couple of years. All of the shoe designs they all kind of just look the same. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of creativity with them. These are cool. They are.
Look how
I don't
clear
know
it
if
is.
I just don't know if I could pull those off.
If you look on his left shoe, on the medial insole is a regular swoosh.
Yeah.
You couldn't see that from the photos we saw. As the host of Sneak Fest, a fine subsidiary here on Grind City Media, I would also just point out I like that the sole of the shoe is just the Ja logos over and over and over, tiny, shrunken down.
If you zoom in on it,
that's the material. It also looks a little bit, I didn't realize until I looked at it a few times that the lines are actually a claw mark. It's the claw going either way that makes the Ja in the middle. They also kind of look like the Deion Sanders Diamond Turfs.
They do.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Which was what Kendrick Lamar wore in the Super Bowl halftime show when you could see the 4 foot of it. But it does have that look at the front of the shoe. I also would say if you want to see some other colorways, there are some floating around on the internet that are rumored to be different colorways. There's a white pair. There's a black and gray pair. There's a couple different things. Part of what made the Ja 1s and 2s so good was there's so many colorways and the storytelling with them, and it looks like this one is sort of set up that you can change anything and customize it.
Did you see what the bottom says?
There's a 1 and a 2 on the one, but it says a happy Ja is a scary Ja.
Happy Ja is a scary Ja.
On the bottom of it, which is kind of cool.
Who looked happy last game?
I would love to see a happy Ja today against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We got about 3 minutes before this one starts to tip off. Any last-minute keys to the game, John Roser? What matchup are you going to have your eyes upon?
Okay, so Isaiah Hartenstein, his last 2 seasons against the Grizzlies, has averaged 13.5 points, 13 rebounds per game. We know that is an issue. We have talked about that. There's a number I'm looking at, 24. Do you know what that's the significance of the number 24 is? That is the average number of points the Oklahoma City Thunder scored off of turnovers in 4 games against the Grizzlies this year. If the Grizzlies give up 24 points off turnovers in this game, that is not going to be good.
No.
It's going to be bad. They need to have that number be low because Oklahoma City, how the Grizzlies guards deal with the defensive pressure on the perimeter from Oklahoma City, because it's not just Dort and Jalen Williams. It's Cason Wallace. It's Alex Caruso. It's SGA. They throw multiple guys out there. And then I think for the perimeter specifically, Desmond Bane and ball control.
Yeah.
I mean, Dez he has had a loose handle, 6 turnovers in the Mavericks game the other night. The torture chamber's real. It's a real thing.
Jessica, what matchup you got your eye on?
The bigs, SGA, Jaren staying on the court, how Scottie Pippen Jr. handles most likely having that assignment on SGA to start. But I'm going to pick it up where we're just left with the shoe. The playoffs are for the stars, and Ja Morant is a star. And I want to go back and remind people of May 26, 2021, Ja Morant in his second ever playoff game scored 47 points against the Utah Jazz. Then let's take it to May 3rd, 2022, 47 points against the Golden State Warriors in a playoff game. And then even in that series against the Lakers, which we don't remember very fondly, but game 2 on April 22nd, 2023, 45 points in a playoff game. He has 3 40-point performances thus far in his career, a handful of 30-point as well. If the Grizzlies want a chance at shocking the world and beating the Oklahoma City Thunder, it starts with Ja Morant.
I'm going to go Mark Daigneault, the coach of the Thunder, against Tuomas Isalo, the Grizzlies interim coach. We've seen Daigneault and the system he's created and the way this Thunder have been dominant all year. We haven't seen a lot of Coach Isalo and what he's been doing, but man, he was great the other night in the game against the Mavericks, picked the right rotations, picked the right players. gave the Grizzlies a heck of a chance, and they took advantage of that. And for the Grizzlies to win today, I think you're going to need that kind of performance from everyone, from the coaching staff to the players to us. That's why we came out here to give you this game and get you ready for today, this afternoon, as the Thunder and the Grizzlies get set to tip off. We got about 20 seconds to get you out here. The game's going to be on ABC, nationally televised. If you're driving around, if you're at home, you want some local coverage, Eric Hasseltine, Mike Wallace are on ESPN 92.9, getting you ready for this. We'll be back Tuesday before the game with another warm-up show. You've been watching John Roser, Jessica Benson, Kyra in the truck, Mike Wallace, No Oklahoma City. I'm Lang Whitaker. Appreciate y'all. The warm-up show here on Grind City Media.